if the Cowboys do make a coach change, why it should not be one Bill Belichick.
What? Really?
Really, I'm going to tell you that. But first, Bobby, you've come up with your own Vegas odds on this.
Yeah, so look, here's the deal. I know what Jerry said. He's not going to make a coaching change in season, and I believe him at this point, but I also think that can change if circumstances occur that kind of force your hand a little bit. But even still, I think the reality all of us have accepted. Chop, what would you put the percentage chance at that this is Mike McCarthy's last year in Dallas? I would say 95%.
Oh, wow. So you're saying this is a 95% chance this team does not make at least the second round of the playoffs?
No, I think getting to the second round of the playoffs doesn't get him an extension.
Okay. So 95% chance they don't make the conference championship game.
Yes.
All right. I would say there's probably, 75%, something like that. 95 seems harsh.
I don't know. Just it feels like Jason Garrett felt inevitable that whole year.
It does. It does. We forget we're a game out of first.
Yeah. It's a little more nuanced than that.
It is. It is.
But I think when we look at this, the reality is Cowboys are going to be looking for another head coach. And so now that we're here at the bye week, I kind of evaluated things. And just like my BFF grade, PFF comes with theirs.
Absolutely.
I just make stuff up.
Yeah.
I make up numbers. I make up grades for those players.
Listen, I support this. I'm a big fan of making things up. I make up just about everything in my life.
My BFF grade for, Dak Prescott in Sunday's game was a 12. 12.2 is what he got. Just like I make it up just like PFF does. So similarly, just like when they're throwing out numbers like plus 600, plus 900. Chop, I don't know what that means. But I'm gonna assign my own pluses and minuses and handicap the Cowboys coaching search. The next one. I'm gonna start with the worst odds. I've got 8 names here. The worst odds, and we're going to work up to the top odds, okay? So, here's what I think you need to look at. I don't think they're going to hire a hotshot coordinator if the job comes up.
Of course not. This is going to be somebody that's had a head coaching job already and has failed somewhere else.
I think this is somebody who probably does need head coaching experience somewhere else.
He said that.
And I think that if it's not somebody with head coaching experience somewhere else, it's going to have to be a really narrow, particular couple of biographical details that'll make sense here in just a second. First name, plus 5,000, Chop. What kind of odds are those? Those are pretty bad?
50 to 1.
Pretty bad then, right? Plus 5,000, John Gruden.
Oh, gosh.
Here's the thing. If you're talking about, oh, man, that's a Super Bowl winning head coach. That's somebody who looked like he was doing a decent job. Like he came back, he looked like he was doing a decent job with that Raiders offense. He's a quarterback guru. They love Gruden and his energy there. Now, obviously, he had some stuff come up. Had to take a little break from the game of football.
What do you mean?
I think you know what I mean.
What do you mean stuff? What stuff?
Had to take a break from the game of football. Pushed out a little bit. He's trying to get back in now. He's trying to coach football again. He's talked about it. If there's one team that would say, we'll do it, we'll put Gruden out there, it would be this team.
Well, it's the one team that could do it.
And it's the team that would also say, I mean, Jerry's talked about, I'm a man who believes in redemption.
Oh, man, I'm 40.
I'm a man who believes in redemption. John Gruden there as a completely out of left field, plus 5,000.
Okay, all right. Well, that would certainly be entertaining. I'll tell you that right now.
Let's go.
Maybe for all the wrong reasons, but sure.
Let's go plus 3,000.
All right, 30 to 1.
This is the number 7. Gary Kubiak.
You know what? I don't hate Gary Kubiak.
I would have those odds a lot better if I felt like Gary Kubiak was open. I don't know how open to coaching Gary Kubiak still is.
Yeah, that sounds like he would be just collecting a paycheck.
Not just that. I think it's
if you're not open to coaching, if you have to be convinced to coach again, I think you're just collecting a check.
I think there's unique circumstances here, though. It's a chance to be here in Dallas with his son. His son, Klein Kubiak, is one of the national scouts for the Cowboys and is part of pro scouting and things like that. So, I mean, he'd be working directly with his son on some of the roster stuff and things like that.
Clint and Klein.
Yes, Klein is here.
Okay.
And so, and does a great job. Klein Kubiak was the guy who kind of discovered Tyler Smith initially out of Tulsa. So
I love the Kubiak family in football. I think they're actually really good football people.
Gary Kubiak's offense, like there's offensive influence from Kubiak still permeating things with Shanahan and those people. So no, I think absolutely wouldn't make a lot of sense. I just don't know. He retired once. came back to be the offensive coordinator very briefly with the Vikings when Zimmer was there, and then retired again and said he was done with football. Said he wanted to spend more time with family, but you could spend time with family if you did this, you know?
You could also spend with time with them if you just retire.
So plus 3,000. All right. Plus 2,500.
All right, 25 to 1.
We got two guys tied here.
Oh, baby.
Robert Saleh.
Okay.
Boy, if there's anything we learned from New York, it's that Robert Saleh will do whatever you tell him to do.
That's right.
He's going to do it. But that's one aspect of it.
Love and kisses.
But the other aspect is guy who like rah culture, all, you know, I'm here for the guys. I'm in there with you. And is a guy who defensive minded head coach. If you decided to say, hey, I'm going to invest in an offensive coordinator that works with Dak, and Dak basically runs the offense because we're paying him money to do that. Let me get somebody who instead can focus on the defense and the culture.
I'm out.
I didn't say I was in on this. I'm just saying.
You know why I'm out?
Why?
He's an arms crossed guy.
Yes. Except when he's trying to hug Aaron Rodgers and get pushed away.
That's a defensive tactic.
It is.
Yeah, I'm out.
But he's a defensive coordinator.
Well, a different kind of defensive, but yeah, I see what you did there.
All right, well, let's go offensive side of the ball.
All right, I love offense.
This guy's also plus 2,500, which, again, I don't even know what those numbers mean. We're doing next head coach of the Cowboys odds here that I've just made up the numbers, the figures. But these are the order that I think they in least likely to most likely. Bill O'Brien.
This one, now.
Bill O'Brien comes from the Patriots coaching tree, so you can see the Jones saying, hey, that's a guy who he knows how to win. He had success in Houston. He was pretty stable in Houston for a long time.
He dragged like 4 lifeless quarterbacks, well, 3, and then Shan to the playoffs.
Offensive-minded head coach, if you really want to say, hey, all our money's invested on the offensive side. We need somebody who's going to take care of it. And has, gone off to Boston College and is coaching there now.
Look, as long as you keep him in a separate, you need to have him in a separate building from the personnel department. I don't even think Gary can have Bill. I don't think Bill can have his office at the Star. He has to have his office at AT&T. He can't have his office at the Star because I don't want him anywhere near personnel because he's the worst personnel guy ever.
You don't want him trading DeAndre Hopkins for David Johnson again?
No, and I don't want him trading like 6 first-round draft or Laramie Tunsil for whatever.
Yeah.
I don't want him doing any of that stuff. So, but I think I could coach.
Yeah. So that's a name to consider. All right. We're doing Cowboys coaching odds here. We're in the top 4 now, Chop. Plus 2,000. Brian Flores. Brian Flores is getting a lot of credit for what he's doing with this Vikings defense right now.
I like Brian Flores. My one concern is like, why did it end like that in Miami? And
because he came in and cracked skulls. And if the Cowboys look at it and say, we want somebody to come in and do that and be a disciplinarian and kind of be a hard ass, which is what they were aiming for with Zimmer, and doesn't seem like it's been exactly that for them yet. But you say, man, that's the top defense in the NFL. We clearly need some defensive help. You got a guy who comes from the Belichick tree, has been a head coach before, and we know he'll come in here and he'll be a heavy hand on some of these people, like some of the players who are having trouble locking in.
I still don't believe that works here.
Probably not.
Because you could still just go around and go up to the top.
Doesn't mean they wouldn't convince themselves of it, though.
That's true.
So plus 2,000 that. All right. Top 3 now, Chop. Plus 1,500. And this is the one guy on the list without head coaching experience or NFL.
So that's a no.
Head coaching experience. Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Plus 1,500, Jason Witten.
This is the one guy I think that Jerry would hire without head coaching experience at the NFL level.
Yep.
I don't think he would do it to Lincoln Riley. In fact, I know he wouldn't.
Lincoln Riley.
And this is the maddening aspect of this is that he wouldn't hire Ben Johnson. All the Cowboy fans out there who saw the Lions come in here last week and say, man, they need to hire Ben Johnson. Yeah, they do. You're absolutely right. It's not going to happen. Jerry has said this. I'm pretty sure he said it on our radio station. I'm not paying someone to learn on the job.
Yeah.
And that's why he won't hire a first-time head coach.
But Witten would be different. Witten is a guy who obviously...
Witten's a family member.
And they felt like was a coach here, basically. Mm-hmm. And was somebody who's been in this culture for so long and has remained out towards that area, Frisco, and has remained coaching. he gave such praise to Dan Campbell last year ahead of the Lions game, and he respects Dan Campbell a lot. Jerry Jones does. I think that's part of why Sunday pissed him off so much.
What's your point?
Right, because it feels like he's another family member.
Yeah, I think that upset him. Specifically, just like, man, this is embarrassing. It's coming from Dan Campbell. He talked about how much he liked Dan Campbell and, man, how great he is. And then he just threw in at the end of this interview with the Dallas Morning News last year, he says, I've always thought Jason Witten had a lot of those similar traits.
Yeah.
That Dan Campbell. So if that's already in Jerry's head that, man, Dan Campbell, that worked out pretty well. Well, who's the guy that's most similar to Dan Campbell that I know? Well, Jason Witten.
Jason seems more subdued than Dan. Like, Jason's not going to come in here and bite ankles.
Not
right
publicly.
No,
he
not
will
publicly.
He will behind closed doors,
right,
for
absolutely.
sure. So I think Jason Witten is the one name on here that we might consider.
Go Vols. I like it.
All right. And then at the end of this shop, I'm going to have you see where you'd place your bet, given the value.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Number 2, as we go through the next Cowboys head coach odds that I've set for myself, plus 400, Mike Vrabel. Talking about a guy with head coaching experience, a guy that they have a really good relationship. A really good relationship with. A very good relationship. Tight, and somebody who's younger, has been a player. I think we are heading to a wave of coaches that are going to be former players, especially when you've got guys coming up in the NIL era and it's going to be harder and harder for a rookie NFL player who's lived an NFL type of lifestyle potentially since his junior year of high school. I think it's going to be harder and harder for him to take any sort of disciplinary measures or standards from somebody where it's like, you've never even played before. You've never even lived my life before. Why would I take this from you? I think that's going to be harder unless you've previously played. So Mike Vrabel, plus 400 shop as a guy with experience who would come in here and be a culture guy. What do you think about that one?
I actually like it. Fun fact, because I love the way McCarthy handles fourth downs a lot, because he's generally among the best at win probability added. Right there, he's tied with Mike Vrabel.
Interesting.
Vrabel, they're both fourth in the NFL. This was last year. They were fourth in the NFL on win probability added on fourth down.
It's not bad. All right. The number one candidate here, Chop, at plus 250, Bill Belichick. And it's obvious. The skin's on the wall, the relationship, the splash higher aspect of it. It's all there right in front of you. He makes the most sense right now. I think Vrabel and Belichick are the two that clearly make the most sense. But those are the odds there for you. The Bobby Belt odds that I don't even know what plus 5,000 means. I know what it means in terms of placing a bet. I don't know what it means in practicality. The implied probability, as you say, Chop.
Implied odds.
So out of these 8, what do you look at and say, there's my best value if I'm placing a bet?
Well, I think Bill is I think Bill obviously is the favorite to get it. All right, I think so. I think that's it. I do like the value on Witten at 15-1. I actually do like the value on Gruden at 50-1. I think Kubiak, I could see that, but I don't know how much he wants to coach. Saleh is a no. I don't see O'Brien happening. I don't see Flores happening. And there's no value on Vrabel. So I would say Witten and Gruden would be the value bets.
Do you think I've got these stacked generally right?
I think you do. I think Saleh is too high. I don't know that.
Fair enough.
I think Saleh's too high, but I think the others are slated fairly. You can maybe switch Kubiak and O'Brien.
Okay.
But I think the rest of it is in a good spot.
Now, why do you think, even though we have Bill Belichick as the favorite, why do you think Jerry would end up regretting
Well,
that
I'll
decision?
tell you why. I want you to listen to this clip. This is from the Greg Hill Show in Boston. And this is Gerard Mayo, the Patriots head coach. Essentially, now at least this is how I took it, essentially throwing his old coach under the bus.
Why was the roster in such bad shape entering this offseason?
Oh, you tell me.
He almost said what he...
Nah, not doing that one. Not doing that one.
I mean, if that is not an indictment on Bill Belichick and him saying exactly why the roster is in such bad shape, I don't know what is. That's him not wanting to throw his mentor under the bus.
Yeah, that was pretty. That's chilly,
right?
Not chilly. Like, I mean, it's looking out, but it's like I'm not going to lie to you.
Yeah, but I'm also not going to say.
But I can't say it.
I can't say
You
it.
tell me why.
That's bad. That's bad. Because they got guys that got old. This is the NFL. Sometimes you miss on players, right?
Mm-hmm.
That happens. He said, "You tell me." He could have just said, "Guys, we missed on a few players. Guys, we got a little old. We're a roster in transition." No. He went to, "You tell me." I mean,
cannot tell a lie.
Yes, like that is he did everything but spell it out for you. And that kind of hit me. I was like, ooh. Oh.
Yeah, look, and I mean, I think that's the reason why. If you go and hire Bill Belichick, here's what I think. You're probably saying goodbye to Will McClay. That's what I think. I think you're picking Belichick and saying so long to McClay. Or McClay, not that you're saying, all right, Will, we got to let you go. I think Will would just say, okay, I have a certain way that I like to run personnel. It's not going to jibe
It's not.
with what's happening here, so I need to move on.
I totally agree. Now, fortunately, I don't think the Cowboys are going to have a chance. Well, I shouldn't say I don't think that. Kirk Minahan, another Boston radio guy, says the Cowboys aren't going to have a chance to hire Bill because he's going to go somewhere else first.
I'll just say this. I won't get specific. People have told me that Brady's first move is going to ask Bill Belichick if he's interested in being coach of the Las Vegas Raiders. 2 sources have told me that. 2 high up in the Patriots organization have told me that.
So, I mean, look, it is what these are all rumors and speculation. We have no idea here. I mean, Kirk could have talked to a couple guys that were. He could have talked to the deflator.
Yeah.
We have no idea who it was, right? But
he was reliable.
Yeah, he was reliable. That's a good question. That's a good point. So I don't know, but yeah, it would not surprise me if Tom didn't try to flip the script on Bill.
Belichick to the Raiders, Belichick to the Giants. I think the Giants is where he wants to go.
Yeah, he probably does.
Because he views that as full circle. Started up there. It's still relatively close to where he is. The Mara family will let him do what he wants to do. It's still an old school type of thought process there. I think the Giants makes a ton of sense.
I definitely agree.